For the record. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Laura Tavares. I'm one of two folks at Mosaic Lowell. Want to thank you for joining us here for our Building Your Online Presence workshop. We ran a similar workshop with Susu last year, which was really popular, but we tried to cram website and social media into one like hour and a half long bonanza, and it was way too much information. So that's why this year we decided to separate it into two sessions. So tonight we're going to talk about website building. Our next session on June 2nd will be focused on social media. I know some of you are already registered. If you're not, feel free to register. Same deal. It will be hybrid in person here and also available on Zoom. We are recording. For those of you who are on Zoom, you should have the option to turn on closed captioning if that's something you need. And with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Susu.
Thank you, Laura. Hi, everyone. I'm Susu Wong, and say hi to everyone on Zoom. I run a marketing agency right in this office, Tomo360. We built a lot of websites. We actually built the Mosaic Lowell's website, and there were a lot of features in there. So I'm excited to be here to talk about artist website. And this is going to be more like a beginner's website based on a lot of your questions. So we'll cover basic things, and then we're going to talk a little bit about SEO, search engine optimization, and some of the platforms. So just to start off, quick poll, where are you starting from? Do you have a website today? Okay. Okay, I see some, okay.
Couple head shakes.
Couple head shakes, okay, all right. Some don't have a
Have a
website.
website, some don't. Yep.
And
Seems to be a mixed crowd here.
right, and is anybody working on one right now? You're working on one, okay, Jess. Okay, great. That's good. So there are a lot of people when they think about websites, right? The challenges are where do I start? Which platform should I use, right? And then once you figure out what a platform to use or the content management system, where do I host it, right? And what does hosting means, right? And then once you get the site, how do you keep it updated, right? And how do people find you? Just because you have a website doesn't mean people can find you. And then as you get into more progressive on your website, not just a catalog page, right? You want to sell on the web, then other issues come up, right? How do you sell it? Where do you sell it? How do I update the prices? And then what if people take my work, right? I have a lot of questions that we're really concerned about. Well, what do I do with my work? Like, what if somebody take it from me, right? And then finally, like, how do people find me? Right. I got people come to. Can you guys hear me on Zoom? Okay, thumbs up. Good, good. We just have a couple of people coming in. All right. So first off, a lot of people say, hi, come on, you can see. Hi, welcome. The first thing is, why do I need a website? Why do I just not have a, social media? Why do I need a website? And then the second thing is, customers and prospects, how do they find you? And the other thing is cultivating trust, right? Having a website is like having a storefront, right? It makes you legitimate. And then the last thing is you want to encourage visitors to take the next step, which is to contact you, find you, and subscribe or even buy in from you. Is that what you want to have on your website? Right. Okay, so we took a few samples, right? Imagine your website is you go into, let's say, an art gallery, like a physical place, right? So it's a first impression about your business. So the first one is thinking about your gallery wall label, right? The first example. So you see a lot of artwork, right? Is anybody in here that has this website? Eileen, Brian, no? Okay, so sorry, we're just taking an example, right? So in here, it would be good to talk about your artwork on your gallery itself. Like what kind of media do you use? So a little bit about your art. And so then we move over to Brooke Lambert, right? Think of it as a front desk. So front desk is like people coming in to your gallery, they can see you. And it's good to talk about what you do, right? Who are you? Why do you do what you do? And then the third one is think of it as a gift shop, which is on the right-hand side, right? Where you can buy the artwork. So these are great to.
Oh, I don't think you are sharing your screen.
I'm not sharing the screen.
Hold on. Thank you for letting us know. All right, there we go.
Thank you. All right. I'm so sorry. Well, you didn't miss much. Okay. So we talked about different functions of a website, right? First one is really like a gallery of your artwork. Second one is kind of like your front desk, right? About you. And then the gift shop is where you are able to buy from there. So each one of these need to be more descriptive about your artwork. So some of the things will be like who are you, what kind of art do you do, right? Be more descriptive. And then getting into selling your artwork. So those are some of the examples we have from the attendees. Okay. So when you think about starting your website, right, you want to think about what are your goals, right? Think of just one goal. Like, do you want to show your portfolio? Is it an exhibition or is it a commission services, right? So somebody wants to hire you for an artwork, right? So that's another goal. Or do you want to sell? And it could be a hybrid, right? Where you're showing your portfolio and you want to sell. But you can't be all in one, right? So you don't want to have too many different goals on your website. So, start with what would be your goal? So tell me what would you like to have on the website? Yeah, sure. Anyway. Okay, so this is like a hybrid. Is that
So that was portfolio, but has a shop, just in
Yeah.
case that didn't carry.
Yeah, right. So you have a portfolio and you also allow people to buy, right? Okay. Anybody else?
Probably so. So thank you.
Okay,
And then
Yeah.
Gillian on the Zoom says portfolio and shop.
portfolio shop. Okay, all right. What are some of the challenges having the hybrid model?
Just getting people to come to your website is biggest challenge. And once they're there, they want to buy, they can.
Okay,
That's probably the challenge.
okay. So the answer is the biggest challenge is getting people to find your website and be able to buy. Once they get in, then they're likely to buy.
Yeah. And then funneling people from one section to the other, right? So maybe they've come in, see the portfolio, but
Yeah.
they don't click that shop button.
Yeah, they
Right.
people go to social media and click.
Mhm.
Okay, all right.
So going from social to the website.
To website, yep, right, it's great. So I think that having a simple sitemap would be good, right? Having a clear message on your homepage to tell people exactly what you do, right? Something very simple. About, one paragraph about what you do, right? Having portfolio, easy to organize, easy to browse, right? Not having too many artwork because then people get a little confused, right? Then they go through this like, oh, I want this, I want this. Well, hopefully that's the case. But then sometimes people get confused. Okay. Having a short story about you. Why do you do what you do? Who are you? Have some background. Um, tell stories. Those are always good to have, always have the about us. Artist statements. So think about what really represent your work. Having testimonials or what people think about your work. Those are always good, right? And then very important, having a contact form, your location, if you have a shop. And then some of the other options will be, if you have an event, if you want to collect, email addresses for like collecting newsletters, right? Sending newsletters, if you have a show, so you want to get email addresses. And any questions?
Looking here.
Okay.
So to capture the email addresses, do you always have to do like a Google form or something? Or can you like embed something else?
Yeah, so you can have like a pop-up on your website to like sign up for the latest news, or you can have a form. So the pop-up is it's like right in your face, right? People may like it or they, but at least they'll see it. If you have a contact form, then you want to have the contact form on other pages. So learn more or contact us, not just on the contact page itself. So you want to kind of incentivize people to sign up. Okay, good question. What else? Location important. Do you have Google business page? You have Google business page?
So elaborate, please.
So let's say you Google, right? You type my company, right? It's gonna show up on Google business page.
It's like what shows up,
It's
like
like
if
what
you're
shows up.
Googling, Market Basket or whatever,
Right.
which shows
On
up
the
on the
very
right hand side.
Oh.
That
Yeah.
usually has the map.
Yeah.
So might not be great for people because you would need a physical address, right? So for people that work out of their home and don't want their home.
You can do a radius, it's a little harder, but if you have a shop, you definitely want to have that.
Yeah. Or if you
Uh,
work out of a gallery,
Yeah, right.
if you remember at the Brush or, Western Ave or
Right.
something like
And
that.
you can use that.
Oh, definitely.
Yes.
Yes. And having a Google business page puts you on the map, literally, right? People can find you. And that's why it's hard for people to find you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, yeah.
No, it's free. So Google Business is free. And then I don't know if everybody does this or it's because we also are integrated. We have Google Workspace for Mosaic Lowell, but every month we get an email from Google Business that tells you how many people like asked for directions or clicked on whatever. It's kind of like website analytics, but just for Google Business listing.
And
Yeah.
does that only work if you have a website? Or you can do it like, let's just say,
I don't know.
I do have. a website. So if I were to get rid of my website, it's not a good idea. Everything's taken so far. But can somebody still do without?
Yeah, ideally it's good to have a website. You've seen people will put a link to the Facebook page, but not everybody has Facebook account, right? And having the website will allow people to search you.
Yeah.
So
But you can do the Google business without it, because I know like sometimes I'll look
Yeah.
up small restaurants,
Mm.
right? Like really hole in the wall places,
Yeah.
and you'll see the address, but you won't see a website.
Yeah, right,
So I know there was a question back there.
yeah,
So, we're both of us gonna have this 2 years, like, you give us one page.
yeah,
Before we got a whole website built out and people just the book gets to that one. Which has samples of our work, it has a short time.
yeah, for the time being. But ideally, yeah, ideally you want to have your own page, right? And then you can have it forward, like let's say Western Art Studio, right? You can have it forward to your main site down.
So-
Link or
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah, so you could have like if you have, yournameart.com and you get that domain and you just haven't done anything with it, you can have, if somebody types that in, that can forward to your
Mhm.
Western Ave page for now
yeah,
until a page is built. And then I would assume the Western Ave page, you have the ability to put your website address on there as well. So once you have a page built, could have, Hope or whomever it is that updates that for you, can change that. So then,
Mhm.
right, because you've got that additional
Yeah.
visibility of Western Ave, right?
but it's better to have your own domain, right? Because it's now is pointing to a page on Western Ave, right? You're not getting a lot of search engine ranking. People can't find you, right? They would have to type Western Art stash, the name.
Is there any verification with the Google business page? to
Yes.
ensure that you guys say.
Yes, they send you a postcard, a physical postcard. Then you have to put the code in. Yeah, yep. So you need to have a Google account. Yeah. All right, let's move to the next one. All right, so a simple sitemap, right? Start with 4 pages. A home page, definitely need that, or a front page. Your work and portfolio, about and contact. Right, so basic, if you don't have one, a 4 page is really good. It's easy to maintain. You don't have to put a lot of content in yet, right? And people can find you. And then if you have a more artwork, let's say you have paintings, photography, ceramic, different things commissioned, right? So you can get into a bigger site, let's say a 12 page, right? What I would do is still the homepage, a gallery, about, contact, and then have a CV. So let's say if you have a lot of shows and all the different things, right? Put your resume in there. Always good to have like events or press releases. So if you're made to different sites, people cite you, then you want to add that. And then blog, if you have time to blog, tell stories, blogs are good for your search engine ranking, content. And then definitely contacts. So when you have a lot of pages, right, people get confused. So so you need to be very clear about where people will find your artwork or your portfolio. So you have to be very intentional about where you direct people, otherwise they'll get confused. And the other thing is that if you have a lot of pages, right, it tends to have broken links. Meaning, let's say you put in a press release that went into another site and then they don't update their link, then you have a broken link. Broken links equals bad search engine ranking. Google doesn't like that. You may have repeated content. So now you have to update your content, right? So it's more work, and you gotta maintain more pages. So start with something simple and build it up. Any questions? All right, portfolios, pages that converts, not just look nice, right? You want to pick your best artwork, right? So we suggest like 10 to 20. Probably, you know, that's a lot, right? Start with something signature pieces. And you know, make sure you put your titles, what kind of medium, the size, you know, and the price. A short caption of the image and a clear inquire or buy button or like contact us. It sounds easy, but actually when you put it on the website, you're probably thinking about, wow, you know, what should I do? How should I name them, right? It's very important that you make it very clear to people, to visitors who are coming to your site. And it's always important to have a clear call to action. Anytime you do anything on your page, make sure you let people know where to go next. So do we need to niche down? Meaning that if you have 100 artwork, how many pieces do you have?
Hundreds.
Hundreds, right? So do you want to put all hundreds up there?
I'd like to, but it's
Right.
not the ball.
Right, probably not, right? So it doesn't mean that you need to niche down, right? It's just that you need to put the best, the ones that you think are people are gonna like it and gonna buy, right? You can always upsell them after they come and buy from you. You need clear navigation, first impression is important. And so, like I said, leading with some of your signature work at the beginning. So give people a very good first impression. This one, that's yours. Okay, very good. I actually really like your website. Yeah, what I like about it is that you know, you have a lot of work, right? So you break it down into different you know, pages. So that's good. You know, you're very clear about where to take people, and I love the artwork. They're very good. You want to tell us a little bit about your site?
Sure.
Yeah.
Probably my strongest pieces and where I posting birds. Birds are pretty popular on my social media, so I definitely want to use prints. People getting these like postcards or stickers or
Mhm.
whatever they want around that. So a lot of people kept asking for prints, so that's why I added.
Okay,
Prints.
that's great. Yeah. Can you guys hear?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, all right.
Oh, and somebody said no. So he was just saying that there's people, his bird collection was really popular. So added them to the website as postcards, stickers, and then added prints as an option when getting suggestions. And his site is isaiahdraws.com.
Yeah.
So for folks that are interested.
Yeah. Yeah, so I like that you have shop for prints and shop for originals, very clear. And then, you know, click on the collection. Is this a Shopify website?
No, this was GoDaddy.
GoDaddy? Okay, it's GoDaddy. Okay, it's a GoDaddy site. Okay, great.
What is the website?
IsaiahJobs.com.
Yeah. So let's talk about platforms. You've heard of Wix and Squarespace, right? Those are good entry content management systems, right? Both of them, you know, have a lot of different templates, and pretty easy to use. Although Squarespace have cleaner templates, they're more, you know, more straightforward, and it's easier to edit. Yep.
Right, so I think I've heard of Wix, so, you know, you can say, you know, you get what you paid for, Cargo, you can get a free website, right?
Can you get free website? Yeah, like GoDaddy's, yeah, sometimes. Mm, yeah,
It still works.
Yeah, it is.
yeah.
And so I'm just curious if anybody has tried that.
I think my first website was free, and then I outgrew it within a year. So if your goal is just to have a website, right? But if you're spending the time, right, to build this is your store, right? And it has to look like, it needs to look credible. It needs to have its own domain name. So I would spend a little bit of money to have a reputable place.
Well, I'll share my story. Back a year back before I invested in GoDaddy at URL. Ivan Orlinsky, watercolor artist, for art, right? Built the website up to WordPress.
Okay, WordPress, okay.
I had that skill set to do that. It was fine. Then URL. Wait a second. Came up with some of the first another artist. With like my last name is spelled different, right?
Mm,
And I said, I spoke to GoDaddy and said. Basically, they warned me, so I was back,
yeah,
I was nowhere.
yeah.
I think they gave me some money back, but
Mm.
it wasn't a great experience.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I mean, it's important to have the domain, maybe changing the domain name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or sometimes if you say, okay, I want ivanorlinsky.com, they might say, well, that's taken, but how about this option? And I think sometimes if you're not, you're like, oh yeah, that, and you just kind of go with the flow. Sometimes that could happen. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And then somebody grabs the domain.
Some-
Yeah. So getting that domain on sort of auto bill is kind
Yeah.
of important.
It's very important, yes. We have some clients who are still trying to find the domain. It's very important that you have that. And if you hire a company to do your website, make sure you register the domain and under your credit card. Yeah. So
Because you can give them access.
you
like
can give them access.
Tomo
Yeah,
has access
right.
to ours,
Yeah.
but
right.
it's,
Yeah.
we're the administrator to
Exactly.
to the domains.
Yeah. So anyway, so Wix and Squarespace, right? Those are two very competitive platforms. Wix has more features. They have more apps that you can, you can do. You can actually you can sell Squarespace as well. They're both a little tricky sometimes. Like you need to make it mobile, but it's but it's not as hard, right? It's pretty much click and drop and click. Yeah. Right. In terms of pricing, very similar. If you pay annually, then it's about $16 to $20 a month. A lot of times you can just go with the basic website. So if you are not very tech savvy and you just have simple websites, I would go with Squarespace. If you want down the road to add more things, then I would go with Wix.
Can you easily go from non-commerce to commerce within? Like, you start off not selling.
Yeah.
Can you easily keep that same format, but then the ability to sell?
You can. The platform for selling is not as good as, let's say, a Shopify.
Oh, but do you add Shopify to Wix? Is that how you?
Yeah,
go
you
commerce?
probably, what you would do is like, if you want to keep your website, when people buy, you put them into Shopify. Yeah. Wix can, they both have e-commerce, but they're not as good as a platform as like a Shopify.
Yeah, very good Shopify.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah, Shopify is good because it does everything in the back end. Yeah.
What's that?
Lots of different kinds of products.
So they can make, so it's kind of like a drop ship in a
Yeah.
way, so they can do your stickers for you. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So that's Shopify
if
for
you
folks who are
already have
online.
Wix, are you saying that you can start document and do a website on Shopify?
I would.
You could, or there are ways to. If you needed to make
Right.
it simpler for people who are.
right, but then you have two different sites. You know what I mean? You could do that, I mean, yeah, that's where Wix comes in, that you can add on things to it, right? But then you want to make sure that they look similar, you know what I mean? You know, yeah. If you plan on selling, like let's say down the road, you may want to start with Shopify because Shopify has templates, right? That you can, it's like 3, 4 pages, on Shopify itself. And then you can have your catalog. But it's hard to know, right? Okay, so this is Shopify versus WordPress. You get into Shopify if you're selling products, it's a great platform, it's really easy, and you have different merchant accounts that you can use, credit card processing. And then you can get into WordPress. You get into WordPress if you have extra things like events, right? You want to book events. Like a Mosaic site, we have all kinds of things in the back end, right? Connecting to art galleries, creating events, creating different, what you call.
Yeah, we have an event calendar, we have a blog, and then we have standard pages that have different things, some different embed codes and stuff for like our map. And
The
then we
map.
have like a custom API for our creative directory. Like that's real super
Yeah, right,
much more complicated.
right. So when it comes to WordPress, you have all this flexible site builder, you have plugins, right? And you need to host it. So with Wix and Squarespace, you don't have to host it. It comes, basically you're a page in the server.
And with Wix and Squarespace, can folks, so if somebody's starting from scratch and doesn't have a domain, can they purchase their domain through Wix and Squarespace as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So they can get the domain and host it, right?
And your
All in
domain
one.
follows you with whichever tool you're involved into.
Yeah, with Wix, yes, right. And if you, let's say you wanna move over to WordPress, you just have to transfer the domain and have it point to WordPress. Yeah,
So I am planning on like selling tea and having like tea services and stuff. So would WordPress be better for me if I want to sell my tea online and book events and stuff like that? But I also need like Shopify to do my packaging.
I think you should do Shopify
Shopify?
to sell your tea, yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you want to do events, you could probably use a different platform. But if your primary goal is to sell, then Shopify would work. You can also have WordPress and integrate Shopify in it.
When you say events, are you looking to publicize events you're at, or for people to contact you and say, yeah, come do a tea event?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they can contact
So
you
they can
and
contact me, or if I'm hosting an event,
Mhm.
here's the information.
yeah, there's probably ways that you could do that on like a
Mhm.
plain site rather than having
Yeah,
like our event calendar on Mosaic Lowell, for example. People can submit their own events, like, oh, we have this gallery opening, or open studios or whatnot. So it's a lot.
yeah.
Or Shopify. You would say?
Yeah,
recommend?
if you're planning on selling.
Yeah.
Because I think that you can integrate events with, other platforms. Yeah. I mean, you can do that with WordPress too, but WordPress, usually you have multiple pages on WordPress. So here's some example, Shopify is easier to set up. It's monthly cost is pretty low. And it's got the built-in merchants accounts and taxes, payments. You don't have to customize it as much because it's got templates. Whereas WordPress, it's, you kind of have to develop it a little bit, you know, you need to have some coding experience. And then you have to pay for hosting. And you also have to maintain it because the plugins, they need to be updated. So,
This Shopify, you get a search engine capability, you
Mhm.
have to pay for that, or how does that work?
well, you can do basic SEO, which I'm gonna talk about it. Yeah, in the back end, you can do, you know, SEO. Any questions about these platforms?
Is there an alternative to this?
Yeah, there are lots of alternatives, yeah.
I mean,
There-
like,
there are
for,
other ones.
having your own store, this, it seems like $300 a year just to start, so,
Okay,
just to start.
yeah, you mean the Wix and,
No, for a store, those weeks, so for a store, can it be, or what is the difference between maybe having a website and sending it to, what's it called, like? Where people sell their things, and we're
Like an,
like an outside of them.
or like an Etsy or something.
Etsy.
Yeah,
yeah,
you could, I mean, you could do that, right? But Etsy takes, every place takes fees, right? So like Etsy is gonna take fees for processing and all of that sort of stuff. And then Shopify, you're gonna have your credit card, you're gonna have those fees there too. So,
right. With Etsy, you're also competing with all the other merchants on Etsy, right? This is a standalone, right? It's easy to like compare, right? You know, you go in there, like, I'm looking for a map, and then all of a sudden 1,000 maps show up from different
Yeah.
people. So imagine you're inside a mall with all the shops who are selling the same thing versus having your standalone shop. So, yeah. Either way, you're gonna have to pay. If you don't, I mean, it's just how it is. You have to invest, right? Okay. So here's some decision. If you want something easy, something simple, right? Squarespace. The caveat is that they're all templates, right? So they kind of look similar sometimes, right? You can tell it's a little cookie cutter. If you want something more with more customs, more apps, then use Wix. And if you really want to focus on you know, selling online, then use Shopify. If you want custom, then you use WordPress. So those are some of the choices. And these are like, you know, really most popular platforms. There are a lot of other ones. But the last thing I don't want to do is to code, because we don't want to be coding. Definitely, right? Unless you're really good, that's great. But that's not me. So
you have people for that.
but we have people for that. Yeah. The problem about coding is once your developer leaves, then now what? Like, how are you gonna continue, right? You're gonna have to hire someone else. Yeah.
You haven't talked about how the customer support is for any of these tools.
Customer support.
Yeah,
One for
that's a really good question. Yeah, so both Wix and Squarespace have customer support. WordPress, you usually have to hire a developer to maintain the site for you. So yeah. Right, so the support person will be a developer, yeah, or your agency.
GoDaddy has support.
GoDaddy, yes, I didn't talk about GoDaddy, yeah, GoDaddy, you know, has come a long way. Yep. They have better templates. But not as pretty, I think, in my view. So not as many templates and choices as Wix and Squarespace. They might be even cheaper than GoDaddy. Yeah, right.
And even WordPress has some templates as well too.
Yep. Yeah.
But with the plugins, if you're using any plugins, that sort of
Yep.
maintenance you still have to be on top of.
Right. Yeah. So this just, domain is your URL, right? Your own domain. If you don't have one, you should get one before someone takes it. I swear, every time I look for a domain and then I don't buy it, well, it's taken. So I think somebody's watching it.
And domains are typically inexpensive, so you
Mhm.
can grab it and park.
Park it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Till you're
for like
ready.
$12 maybe. Like
Yeah, it
very-
varies,
So
but
then it
yeah.
has people get the first year for a penny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, exactly,
Yeah.
right, yeah. And hosting is where your site lives, right? So hosting, you'll need that for WordPress, and the other platforms you don't. Yeah, we talked about Wix, Squarespace, you can bundle hosting and connect to a domain. So that's just pretty, it's not that hard, but so homepage, one sentence, what you do, what you make, who are you? 6 to 12 images, probably best to kind of get people orient to your work. And then a couple of call to actions, right? Buy now, inquire, contact us, subscribe to our newsletter, subscribe to our events. Here's an example. I create mixed media textile pieces inspired by X. So just something simple, right, to tell about you on the homepage. And then we're gonna switch over to SEO. And then we're gonna talk about copyright. Any questions before we move on? All right, so basic SEO, right? Search engine optimization. So think about search engines when they come to your site, right? They are looking for your page title, right? So you need to be descriptive about what your page is and what is the title. Accessibility is very important. So when you have images, you want to do alt text, meaning you need to title your image, your picture, right?
And
It's-
most will prompt you for it when you upload an
Mhm.
image, so it's not something that you need to search around for.
Right. The government now requires all the site to be ADA compliant, so they're working on that. That means that all your images, everything needs to be, described. And then one page per topic. So make it like the title. The title of the page is descriptive, not too long, right? And you want to describe your page. It's called meta description. So in your in the back end of your site, it's gonna ask you for a meta description. That means it's like a snippet of the page, right? So it'll be like this page is about X work, or it kind of describes it, so then Google can understand what your page is about. And then add your city if you're doing local work. So if you have a shop, right? So you want to add your cities so then Google knows where you are. And then more important, have a Google business page if you can. So that's gonna help a lot with SEO.
Where do you do this? When you say add a city, what do you mean?
In your content.
Oh, okay, somewhere
Yeah,
on the,
yeah,
on the
yeah,
website.
Yeah, so it
Right.
could be, I am a,
Yeah,
Lowell.
visual artist based in Lowell, Massachusetts.
right.
Uh,
Yeah,
or like the footer of your website too,
Mhm.
you could have Lowell, Massachusetts.
exactly.
For the alt text, is it just the title of the piece or a description? of the
It's
piece?
It
description.
should, it should be description for, especially for accessibility purposes, so people who are using screen readers.
Right. If they can't see the image, they'll at least see what
Because
the
my
image is.
website does has a space for add alt text. So
Yeah, it could be your logo, right? Or it could be description of your artwork, right?
And they don't have to be super long and complicated either.
Yeah. Right.
That's on the images,
Mhm.
yeah, typically.
Yep.
Yep. And the images.
Yeah, so
when
I don't know on other sites, but like on WordPress, when you upload an image, it will have like a little box for alt text and you can type in, uh, hand-drawn image of a baby chicken that looks like Colonel Sanders, you know? Um,
That was really good.
and okay.
Did you just come up?
It did. I got it, you know?
Yeah,
I haven't been on my website for a while, can you tell?
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, and all of that stuff is, you know, it's great for accessibility, but it is all like web crawlers, right? That are
Yeah.
looking for those things and those keywords and things
How
like that.
often should you go on the website and tweak it or add things or change things, you know?
I have a slide on that, but yeah, I think if you can, like every 2 weeks. Okay, if you can't, at least once a month. You know, just update the content.
Yeah.
Yeah. The search engine also will punish you if you don't have enough content on your pages. It's called the keyword density, which means that you know you need to have some text. Otherwise, they think that, well, I don't know what you're doing. So you need to update that.
So kind of related to that, when you're building your pages, you, while it's in progress, you might be ready to go live with some of them. And I've come across sites where it says this page is under construction, so.
No, you
There
should,
should be
yeah,
that.
no,
Yeah.
that's not good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very frustrating.
Yes,
Yeah, because
Right.
you can work on different parts of your different pages and just not have them published
Yeah.
yet too.
yeah, it's just
Pretty much
publish it.
Yeah.
Yeah, put it in draft. Yeah. This is the question about how do you update them? So
Excuse me for a minute.
in
Can
the
I
next
take
slide,
it
they
back
actually
for a
talk
second?
about a checklist, right? So let's say you have a checklist of your homepage and you're gonna figure out, okay, all right, what's new, right? What do I want to add? And you know, do we want to add more artwork? Do we want to take some artwork down, right? So kind of think about what you need to do on a monthly basis. I'll schedule a 30-minute update monthly. We can all do that, right? Grab coffee and kind of update that. And then using a template for artwork. So the template will be kind of, you know, you kind of organize yourself, right? You know, the price, how big is the size, you know, what's the status? Is that a print or is that a original? So kind of organize yourself. So this is kind of like your upload. So just an example, like, okay, artwork, this is blue window, the collection, the status is ready to upload. Do I have photos? And this is alt test. A blue tone acrylic painting of a window with light spilling in. And that's the price. So this could be a spreadsheet, right? And then this is the URL, right? So you can kind of see how you can organize yourself, right? So put an inventory of all your work.
There was a quick question. Is there a word minimum for keyword density when you're thinking about?
Yeah, I don't want to scare you. It's 350 words for word keyword density.
And is that across all pages or is that per
No,
page?
individual per page.
Is that word characters?
What is it?
Word.
Actual
Words.
words.
Yeah, that's what the word density is, keyword. So when you think about
350
keywords, it's
words. Okay.
you need to think about there's some you know, you can find keywords, right, of your type of artwork. You know, think about content on how people search, right? And so you need to kind of incorporate those keywords on your website, on your pages.
Do you separate them with a comma, space, or something?
And the keywords.
Oh, the keywords. So I would, you know, I would probably write the content with the keywords in the paragraph itself, right? So incorporate in within your content.
Yeah, so thinking about, how most people would describe your art, right? So
Mhm.
someone searching for surrealist painters or large scale muralists in Lowell. And trying to think through like what type of things will people be searching for that can find me, and then
Mhm.
write your sentences around
Around
that.
yeah. Well, the good thing about AI is you can put those keywords and go into ChatGPT and say, write a blog for me, right, with these keywords. And then, that will give you a summary and then you customize it. So you're not starting from scratch. You have a question, Faye?
A couple of years ago, I did take some kind of mini course on SEO. And is it true that if you had a video on your website, that brings it up on the search engine? Is that like that?
It will definitely bring up in YouTube, which, when people search, yes and no. I think if you have to describe your video, like what it is, I think a combination of content and video would be good, right? It's hard for search engine to like figure out what your video is unless you really put a lot of keywords in. Yeah. Okay, just a couple more slides. Selling word pricing, make sure that you have the status, so if it's available or is sold, versus archived, and Shopify is good, like if there's a cart abandonment, right? So let's say they come to your site and then they decide not to buy. So it's good to see what's going on, maybe people are confused or who knows why, but if there's a consistent patterns, then you can find out like why people don't check out.
Or you can send those creepy emails that are like, "Did you forget something? Have you
Yeah,
ever done that?"
right.
And you're
Yeah, right.
like, "I was just fantasizing."
Right. That's why some of those Shopify will be good because it has all these features built in. Yeah. And then the having your social media icons. Sometimes you can put the your post directly on the site, right? You can integrate them, and then so get email subscription, so you can build an email list. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about protecting your work. There are a lot of concerns from your survey. So you want to make sure that everything is copyright right on the website. So on your you want to have a copyright notice on your footer, all rights reserved. And copyright already exists automatically for you, right? If you create a work in the US, right? But does it mean that people don't steal your work? No, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of, what I've heard over the years is when in my paintings on the back, I put copyright, little.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Watermark.
Watermark.
But isn't the reality, I mean, they could take.
They could,
the
yes.
image, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so I would use a lower resolution, right? So they can't reprint them. I mean, if they print them, it would be pixelated.
That was another thought I had, but when you're preparing your, say, website with JPEGs. Gotta have a good image. JPEGs.
Well, this web image, right, is lower res than print.
Mhm.
And you can use a SVG format, right? So it's not so easy to download as a JPEG. Of what are they gonna download into?
And trying to have the watermark, sometimes you see them right across it versus down in the bottom, so people can't crop things and
Yeah, right.
stuff like that.
Right, a light watermark, so even if they print it, yeah. I think it's hard, right? Once it's up on the web, it's for grabs. but there are ways that you can try to protect yourself. And then if you really need to, if it's a really collector's item, you can register a trademark. So let's see. Yeah, so adding photo, your name, adding image, alt text, file names that match your, the image. We talked about websites images versus high res. Timestamps. So those are some of the ways that you can protect your work.
And some of this stuff, like having timestamps and things like that, and images, is like if there ever is an argument out
Right.
there, you can show when it was first uploaded, when you first
Yeah.
started using it, things
Right.
like that.
Yeah, hopefully you don't have to do that, but yes. Any questions?
I don't see any.
How strict are they with the parking around here?
It's 2 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long?
No, this is till 8 o'clock?
Oh, no.
Yeah,
The parking goes till
parking.
8. I don't know how often they come around here versus downtown.
Okay.
Do you have it on passport?
Yeah, but I only pay till 7.
Oh, can you extend it?
You might be able to.
You can, yeah. 'Cause you
It
have-
just ended. I don't have to
Oh,
either
yeah.
redo it.
How
much longer you think?
I think we're pretty
almost
much
there.
done, yeah. Yeah.
Almost there.
Yeah, it's just improving your site, make sure that you update your site, have good call to action, always kind of get people to the next step to buy, and then adding alt text and protect your images to help with accessibility and search engine optimization. So there's some actions. If you haven't done it, buy your domain, pick your templates, choose a platform, and upload, your 10 most the best sellers. And then if you want to get people to subscribe, have a pop-up for them to subscribe to you. And I think that's about it. Any questions?
I have a little question. So your slide right before this was, maybe it's 2 slides before, about your top 6 images to put the alt text. Why only 6 of them if it's an ADA compliance? No, the next, further to the end, more to the end of your slide.
At the copy.
Maybe the third from the last slide.
Add alt text and file
Yeah.
links that match this one?
This one, yes, the third check mark.
Oh, I don't.
Why the top 6? If it's ADA compliance, why would you do almost all of them?
Just a small place to get started.
I'm just saying, no, there's
Yeah.
Oh.
nothing wrong with the.
Oh, I think you should do them all. If you show all the images, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But doing a small bit at a time. Yeah. Yeah. Quick wins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Get
it's
5 or
okay.
6 done. Then next week, do another 5 or 6.
Yes. Right, yeah,
Yep.
the top 6,
Yeah.
yes, that's, yeah. So I guess to start somewhere, right, start slow and start simple and get a site up and running. Google business page, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and you can upload your images to your Google business page. You should update it regularly once you have that. Yeah. Which one?
The quick wins.
The quick wins. Oh, yeah. Wait, yeah.
And we will, so this was being recorded, so we'll send out the recording and we can send out the slides as well.
Yeah.
There's sort of a pre-scheduled email that will come to your inbox in about an hour with a survey. So please give us feedback. And if there are still other questions too, I just know some people are gonna need to head out, but so those 2 things. And then also, like I said earlier, our social media workshop is on June 2nd. Same deal, hybrid in person here and online. So if you want to attend that and haven't registered, go ahead and do that. I think I linked directly in that email that will go out to you all. And I'll also make a plug for our creative directory. I'm going to see if I can link it in that email before it goes. So there is the New England Foundation for the Arts, NEFA, and EFA, has a creative directory called Creative Ground. And that directory is New England wide, and it takes pretty much any creative businesses, and it's really wide range of folks. And if you sign up there and create a profile, and if your address is Lowell, Massachusetts, that profile will also show up on Mosaic Lowell's creative directory. If you're not based in Lowell, I know we have some folks that aren't, perfectly fine. You can still create a profile. It's totally free. You can upload images of your work. You can talk about people that you've worked with. It's a really great sort of base, just another way to sort of get connected and with folks.
Is this
So.
on our website?
So it's creativeground.org, I believe, is where you would start your profile. And then the sort of, I don't know if it's once a day or I think it's once a day, the magic that Susu's developers put together. Any sort of new profiles that were created in the last 24 hours with Lowell, Massachusetts will be searchable on Mosaic Lowell's site as well. And so if you're a gallery affiliate, let's say you live in Burlington, but you're you have a studio at Western Ave, put in your Western Ave address so that you'll get that sort of Lowell benefit of being on our site as well.
And what is NEFA?
NEFA, NEFA stands for the New England Foundation for the Arts.
You'll put it on the email?
Yeah, I will try to get it in the email. It comes out at 8, and if not, I'll send it with the recording link and the slides probably tomorrow.
Thank you for coming. Yeah,
Thank you.
you can go if you were.
Yeah.
No,
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Any other question? If there are any other questions for folks online, feel free to get those in the chat.
Great. Thank you for coming. Yeah, I'll stay here if you have any other questions.
It's question about probably not through it, but when I uploaded my pictures, if they're really high res, will I know? Can I go onto my pictures and see what the res is so that I could have it at this point? But
Yeah, if you download it, then you can probably, yeah. Oh, you can go to the back end and see how big it is, and you can kind of make it into a